Every fair map begins with a question. How do we turn political geography into representation that truly reflects the people? This is the story of how math, technology, and community action are reshaping the modern cartographer's craft. Gerrymandering works by wasting votes. A party in power can crack an opposing group across many districts, diluting their voice, or pack them into a single district containing their influence. Either way, thousands of votes end up counting for nothing. For decades, partisan bias was the standard for measuring unfairness, but it relied on assumptions that didn't always hold. The efficiency gap changed that. By directly comparing wasted votes between parties, it offered a breakthrough way to quantify gerrymandering with far more precision. With this new lens for measuring fairness in hand, researchers turned to real-world election data across the country, setting the stage to track exactly how these gaps were changing over time. Something shifted dramatically in 2012. Historical data on congressional and state house seat gaps shows a sudden, unprecedented spike, a moment now referred to as the algorithmic crisis, when partisan advantage surged beyond anything seen before. Courts have responded with firm legal thresholds. Once a plan crosses the trigger point for congressional or state house seat gaps, it becomes presumptively unconstitutional, shifting the burden to defenders of the map to justify it through legitimate policy or political geography. So how do you prove a map is an outlier? The answer lies in computation. By generating thousands of alternative, legally compliant maps, researchers can build a fairness baseline and measure whether the map in question stands far outside the normal range. That computational power comes from algorithmic ensembles of maps, using tools like shifted Kruskal's algorithm to build spanning trees and recom cuts to redraw balanced districts. An MCMC random walk can explore thousands of possible maps, with breakthroughs like X-bend compression making the process dramatically faster. A new frontier is emerging, known as agent mandering. AI agents negotiate district maps directly, using a choose and freeze protocol designed to reduce partisan bias by having competing interests take turns shaping and locking in fair boundaries. This approach stands apart from traditional simulation. Markov chain Monte Carlo methods sample from a space of valid maps, while LLM-driven agent mandering instead negotiates outcomes directly, two fundamentally different paths toward the same goal of fairness. But fair maps are never merely a math problem. They are, at their core, a human mandate. Groups like the Native American Rights Fund remind us that redistricting reform is fundamentally about protecting minority voting rights and dismantling systemic barriers to representation. That mandate becomes action through the grassroots advocacy engine, a repeatable cycle of steps communities use to organize, document, and push for maps that reflect their lived reality, not just abstract lines on a page. Records matter here too, since state-defined boundaries often miss what communities actually experience. Community-defined records, full map submissions and testimony at local hearings, provide the evidence that keeps redistricting accountable to real people. At its core, fairness sits where three forces meet: the math that measures bias, the technology that generates alternatives, and the people who demand accountability. Together, they form the fair map ecosystem. So, we return to where we started, designing democracy itself. Dismantling partisan gerrymandering isn't just a legal fight or a computational exercise. It's a shared effort between rigorous analysis and community power, working together to build maps that represent everyone fairly.